Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Rom's Female Archetype System, right? And check it out, right? Check it out. Anybody who knows me well knows I study a lot of stuff about archetypes, personality types, things of that nature, right? Especially archetypes. Now, there's like more natural archetypes, which are based more on DNA, birth. Some people might use astrological archetypes. And actually, if what you have now, because of a combination of course, DNA, culture out here, because if you use the word culture, it means to cultivate. So people, in reaction to the environment, what you have are the creation of new archetypes, just like in my favorite TV show, American Gods. If you watch that show, the new gods are actually created because of modern society, right? So what you have are several archetypes. Now, when I talk about female archetypes, now this is something I presented in a webinar I did for on my Connect Pal. And if you're interested in the Connect Pal, well, one, you have to join. The link is in the description box, and then you have to pay for a recording of the webinar from me. And it had something to do with the seminar was called Reading Women Street Edition, DTF. And the DTF's down to fuck. So it was all male, it was raw, right? But one of the things I presented was an archetype system that I use personally, and I'm just briefly presenting it now. And the reason why, because, a few weeks ago we were talking about dimes and everything. And I'll use that 1 to 10 thing as a reference because people are familiar with it. I haven't really fully presented publicly my system or like written a book or anything on it. Might write a book, who knows. But I hadn't presented it. So as I said, I'll still use it. But see, a problem is there's no, if you use that number system, there's no real objective thing. You can't say objectively anybody's a 10. Objective, as I explained in yet another podcast, 1 + 1 is 2. That's objective. Whether or not somebody's fine or something, even if a whole lot of people find that person's fine, it's still not objective. It's just a consensus, right? But it doesn't mean like there's still going to be somebody who doesn't. So this archetype system is based more on a consensus, what people are going to see, because usually what happens is according to how a woman is treated or how a man's treated, just like I talk about select and non-select, and then when I talk about the 4 archetypes that make up the select and non-select, Mr. Goodbar, the masked men are select, the gamesmen and the nice guys are non-select. What happens is these men interact with women and gradually develop a set of behaviors. Like Mr. Goodbar really don't chase women a lot. That's like top of the line. He don't chase women a lot because of a combination of his attitude, his physical body, and, occasionally maybe even his facial features. Women chasing him. So his personality developed in response to that. But then with the masked man, the mask is just another way of saying material man. He's using, money and status plus a little bit of physical sex appeal, basically having the outside things that women say they want. But see, what happens is his personality, as he gets money, status, moves up there, develops in response. And that's all the way down. Like a nice guy basically doesn't have the tools that are found sexually attractive to women. Like women like nice guys as friends and stuff, platonic friends, and they'll deal with them, but they're just not sexually attracted to them. But as a result of a man encountering that, and with a consensus of women putting him into the nice guy category, he develops certain traits, right? So the same thing happens with women. Their personalities and archetypes they developed are in response to how men respond to them, right? So, and how men will see them. because that's a little secret. Despite people, male and female, thinking they going their own way and stuff, a lot of what we do is in relation to our interactions with the opposite sex. We actually built that way. Like you can actually track how hormones rise and fall. Like testosterone. A man's testosterone, if you were to put some type of measure on it, will be considerably higher around a group of women who would be considered top tier or what I call stars, or more so than it would be around a group of women I would call uglies, right? So, you can track that. You can track the hormones. Just like in women, they're going to have certain hormones kick in when they see certain types of men. Because, of course, women are visual, but that's another thing, right? So you have, I got 5 female archetypes, and I'm just going to present them briefly, right? Instead of saying the 9 or the 10, which is a number, I would say these women are pretty much in that 9 to 10 range if we want to compare, right? 9 to 10 range. Like a consensus of men and even some women across several cultures would consider these women top tier. And I call these women stars, right? I call these women stars. Reason why they're stars, because they basically, at least on a physical level, remember, this don't have so much to do with the personalities. Now, there are personalities that come along with it, but I ain't going to get along with it, that they are developing reaction to how people are dealing with them. So the stars, they basically hitting on all cylinders. Most people, consensus, will find them facially attractive, right? But then a consensus will find them bodily attractive, even if they not attractive. Like, say she's a black woman. This black woman can go into Asian culture and they'll be like, damn, girl, right? Just beauty, like that, just pure genetic beauty that most human beings are going to find across cultures, whatever, right? They just look at us like, oh, she's beautiful, right? She's beautiful. Like, it's like I said, it goes across races, and like a consensus would find her beautiful. Like they can't really find anything to say, oh, she needs, because her body would be proportionate, stomach flat, breast perky, and all of that, right? Most people, even if they might not, like if a dude like a big badunkadunk, but see this type of woman, he'll still find her attractive, even though her badunkadunk might not be as big, but it will be proportionate, right? Like that face with the great symmetry, and the body with that figure 8. And then even the hair goes in there, right? Roll out of bed beautiful. Like they don't really need makeup. Like they could just be walking down the street wearing some sweats and you're like, damn, girl, you're pretty. Now, whether or not they sexy, that's a whole different concept, but we just going on how people going to look at it. Because really the average man doesn't think in terms of whether a woman is sexy. Like an in tune man might look at her sex appeal, but the average man won't, right? So you got the stars. You can pretty much understand that, top of the tier. Then the next group are the hotties. Now here's the irony. Most hotties are considered dimes. Most hotties are considered dimes. Most dudes, if they talking about a hottie. Now the hottie, right, in many cases is a top of pyramid. There ain't that many stars out there. So depending on the environment, a woman who's really just a hottie might be on top. Now, the thing with the hottie, they don't have like that drop dead face that, just launch 1,000 ships or something like that. But their faces will be maybe above average, but not stunning. More like the girl next door look as opposed to like supermodel of the world look or something like that. Or movie star look, right? And generally have a very good body. And especially the environment they in, they might be considered the top thing, right? Like I say, most dudes, if they mention a dime and you ask them their version of a dime, they'll point to that hottie. Especially if they've never encountered a star, because stars, you don't encounter them too much. I can count the number ones I've encountered in my life on. I might have to go to a second hand. I'm saying I might could probably do it on one hand, right? So that's the second archetype, right? The third archetype is what I call decence. Like most women are decent, man. Most women are not ugly, especially in this day and age. Like the decents, they might not have, they might not have that killer body. They might have a little bit on their stomach. Their breasts might not be as big or as perky. The ass might not be as perfectly round. The face might be pleasant, not ugly, but, not stunning either. They decent. You can walk around with them. That's most women. That's actually what most guys get. Most guys get that type of woman. Like, even to the guys, she ain't going to be considered stunning, but she good peoples. They click and everything. They decent, right? He ain't going to be embarrassed to walk around holding their hand, right? And then you get the women, what I call the plains. They just plain. They ain't ugly, but they ain't really decent either. And that's where you get sometimes those nerdy girls and stuff, right? Some girls that probably, I'll say one thing, and I get deeper into it when I do this webinar, but the decent women will fix up. They'll fix up a bit. They're adjustables. They'll fix up. The plains don't fix up. Whatever they got, they pretty much keep. Like, they could be decent if they did some work, maybe a different hairstylist, maybe do something with their skin, maybe hit the gym, something like that. But they don't stand, they there. They ain't bone ugly, but, if you get to know them and they pleasant enough, some dudes will still mess with them, right? They might need to lose some weight, or they might need to put on some weight. But they not, like I said, you look at them, you probably look at them, squint a little bit, look at them to the side, drink a little bit, squint at them, say, maybe. But they plain. They just plain. Like I said, a lot of nerd girls might fit in that category. They ain't fixing up like that, right? So in the last archetype are the uglies, right? It's not as many as them as people try to act like. And I feel bad for people who constantly encounter them, because it says to me they're not in environments where it's just plain women, all right? These are women don't have anything physically appealing about them. Like I said, you can halfway feel sorry. It's like nothing. You can't find anything good on them, all right? You can't look at their body and say, well, maybe. You can't look at their face and say, well, like it might even be just physically repulsive to you, right? Like I say, those are rare in this day and age, where you got, depending on the neighborhood, you got gyms on every corner. You got makeup counters. Shoot, you can go to a drugstore and get some makeup. You got hairdressers. So if a woman at that level, she might have bigger issues to deal with, right? But it's still an archetype. They still exist. It's still an archetype, right? So, instead of, me really, like I say, if I use the number system, I say she a 9, I just do that for reference. There's a lot of stuff I'll say and people think I'm getting into it, but they always miss the part and say, well, I'll only say this for reference. Like, I'm notorious for not really being big on the alpha beta thing. Because in my feelings, some people can be alpha in some situations and beta in another, right? I mean, that's just how it is. But I'll use it for reference. So, if I use that number system, it's purely reference. But the system I use is, like I said, is based on consensus. Like, even with the ugly, there might be some dude out there think she a star. But the consensus is like, how you looking at her, huh? How you looking at her? Or, even the stars, there might be somebody be like, 100 out of 100 dudes, 99 see star, and then one just sees a plane. Like, of course, I want to know that one who sees it as a plane, because that dude hanging around some beautiful ass women. But that's it, right? So, and overall, it's how they respond to men, and then how overall society treat overall, right? And like I said, there's always a consensus. It's not, you can't look at it as a science. It's a rule, general rule. Even the archetypes are general, because everybody still has their own stuff with them, right? And even just in the archetypes in general, people use different stuff. But remember, average person got about 9 layers to them. Average person got 9 layers to them. But that's maybe a conversation for my Deep Thought channel. But I just wanted to like present that real quick. So real quick, top of the order, stars, then the hotties, decents, plains, and then uglies. Right? And it's more organic to me because me and 10 other people are not going to agree who's a dime. There ain't no objective. We are not going to agree, but then we might be able to agree. Okay, this woman is top tier, but we might not. We might find someone and say, well, she ain't perfect. You know, something wrong with her left toe or something. All right, but we can agree. Yeah, she's beautiful. Consensus. So that's how you gotta look at it. So it's more organic to me. The number thing, you can't rate it because it ultimately is about, you know, your personal thoughts, what you think is aesthetic, how hard she gets your dick, quite frankly, all of that stuff. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.